Lake St. Clair. Of course, the richest tournament in bass fishing is going to attract some of the biggest names in bass fishing. They were all here, and a great time had over the first 2 days. Over 300 pros and co-anglers enjoying the smallmouth here on Lake St. Clair. David Walker of Cannon, Kentucky, points leader for Land O'Lakes Angler of the Year coming into this tournament, had his work cut out for him. Finish ahead of some tough customers, the likes of Alton Jones and Roland Martin, just a few points behind. David did it with 2 solid limits over 16 pounds to clinch. Scott Martin of Lewiston, Florida, held out the competition as well to win the co-angler title. On day 3 yesterday, we crowned our co-angler champ, John Bruce, son of pro Mickey Bruce, a winner of $100,000 on the tour already this year. John did it by beating, among others, Scott Martin, son of Roland Martin, and Mike McKinnis, son of Jerry McKinnis. And we trimmed our pro field down to 5, who fish today for fishing's biggest prize. We're in Michigan, and welcome to the Forest Wood Open.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the automotive capital of the world, the Motor City, Detroit, Michigan, which this week has been host to the richest bass fishing event in the world, the 1999 Forest Wood Open. For the past 3 days, 150 of the best in the business have endured the elements and matched each other cast for a shot at this year's championship title. And now, it's time to meet the final 5. Ladies and gentlemen, they're still standing and in place for a chance to win the top prize, $200,000.
There's a fish, a good one too. That's the one to start with right there, buddy. About a 5-pounder.
Well, I'm Tommy Sanders, along with Jerry McKinnis here. Also, Michael Buffer, that well-known gentleman, at least known to sports fans around the world, kind enough to intro our starting 5 today. But what we're watching here is first action of the morning, just about first cast, Jerry.
Yeah, and the viewers had better hang on today. You and I have already been through several qualifying days.
Ooh.
We have an idea of what could possibly happen in this smallmouth factory today.
There's a 5+ right there.
Gentlemen, in the blue corner, wearing Chevy denim and weighing 164 1/4 pounds from Kalamazoo, Michigan, here is Kevin, Heavy Kevin Vanden.
There we go. That's one of the ones I want.
Ladies and gentlemen, in the red corner, wearing the Citgo logo, he weighs 202 pounds from Livonia, Michigan, presenting David, the Worrying Warrior.
Yeah. Me and Kevin have been bumping heads here all week, but what we've been doing is we're throwing completely different lures. Sometimes his pay off, sometimes mine do. right now, mine are. Is that my graph keeps going off? Well, that fish has been caught about 7 times.
Ladies and gentlemen, in the green corner, wearing the yellow and red Land O'Lakes shirt and weighing in at 158 pounds from Rochester, Michigan, here is Art Out of My Way Ferguson.
Come on, 4-pounder. Let's make this easy. That feels like a good one there. Nope. Hope it ain't a drum or some stupid fish. Oh, it's a smallmouth. Boy, I hate this little bitty rod and reel. Ooh, he's a good one. Golly bum, he's a good one. I thought he was little. Good one. Hot dog, man, I thought that was a baby. Whew. Boy, I was getting nervous. I'm not nervous no more.
Ladies and gentlemen, introducing in the black corner, wearing Chevy denim and weighing 161 pounds from Bee Branch, Arkansas, Larry the Toledo Bendit Nixon.
And we're going to make the ceremonial first cast. And this is the way I like to do it. Mine is to make the first cast, let it sink a little bit, and reel it in. Because if you catch one on the first cast, it's like the voodoo. It'll get you. So there's the first cast. I'll straighten my line. Oh, one was following it. No kidding. One was following it right to the boat. Now, if I'd have caught that fish, I'd have been jinxed all day long. At least I thought I would have been.
Ladies and gentlemen, introducing in the orange corner, he's wearing the Coleman colors and weighs somewhere over 200 pounds. From Jacksonville, Florida, presenting Peter, Mr. T. Delvaros.
Man, I'm pumped up. Have you ever been at an event, Tommy, where so much happened right off the bat to all 5 of our contestants?
Not even close. Nothing so far has even been close. But this is an unbelievable lake here, Lake St. Clair. It's a body of water basically between Lake Huron to the north, Lake Erie to the south, and all that wonderful, cold, clear water pours down from Lake Huron, creates a perfect environment for these smallmouth bass. They breed well here. Of course, the lake is shut down half the year. It makes for a great fishery.
Larry's going to catch them. Kevin's going to catch them. Art's going to catch them. I mean, they're going to catch these fish. And I don't want to be left out of that crowd.
The Walmart FLW Tour is brought to you by Timex. Takes a licking and keeps on ticking. By Chevy, the most dependable, longest-lasting trucks on the road. By Coca-Cola, always Coca-Cola. And by Walmart, always the lowest price, always.
Not a fast mover. You know, when you weigh 300 pounds, you just kind of take your time doing things. And that's pretty much where I am. Now, you look at Kevin Van Dam, poor kid, he needs to eat. He's anorexic as he can be, and he moves so fast, his metabolism's so high, he could eat a 2-pound steak for breakfast and be hungry again by 10 o'clock. I mean, he just burns it up. Too much energy. Oh, look at that. Came up off the bottom and grabbed it right under the boat and came off right there. Oh, I'm dying here. He swam up to the boat, looked at me, grabbed that little tube bait, and swam back down. I should have let him swim to the bottom with it. Oh. That's nerve-wracking. Following it the whole time, and as it's coming to the surface, he decides to eat it. Another one. We get them a little bit turned on here, maybe they'll go nuts this morning. That's a pretty good fish. That's one of the keys to these smallmouth is you get the school started and they go crazy. I'm not going to let that fish see the net yet. Until it's time for him to swim in it. That's almost a 3-pounder. Lose one, and on the next cast, catch one. We don't want to do that all day.
Peter T shoots and scores there. Now, that's a slow start for Peter T. If you don't get a big fish on your first cast, that's a slow start.
Everybody's on the board, and Larry Nixon is, Tommy, bringing in the ultimate spectator boat.
Oh, yes, they're 3 deep there on the big boat here to watch Larry Nixon fish. Larry, what kind of place is this?
Well, what I envision's a big flat area that has a little 18 to 20-foot trough that runs into the bank, and there's a lot of grass and muck on both sides of a hard spot, so I don't know whether it's shells or it could be gravel or something like that, but there's something hard down there, and when I come through the good area, I can feel it bumping along rather than picking up trash.
Well, you know, most of the time when a fisherman talks about some cover or some contour or some, you normally think of a pretty big object. Actually, probably a little small object in this lake can attract a lot of fish.
Yes, this lake is it's very subtle in everything it does. It's flat, and the rock and gravel is very important to where the fish live, and there's just not a lot of areas that's got the right kind of stuff. I mean, when you find them, there's a load of fish there. But other than that, you know, it's got a lot of mucky bottom with a lot of grass in it, but it's got a billion bass.
And I guess normally they're so aggressive that you'll find them in a hurry, won't you?
Well, yes, if you drop a bait in them when they're feeding, you're going to get bit. I mean, they're aggressive. They fight over a lure. A lot of times you'll catch one, and it may turn a whole school on, and, you know, that's what you hope you do.
From Larry Nixon over to David Rowe, our real estate agent from Livonia, Michigan. And David, Jerry's catching him on something that's very popular up here, that chartreuse spinnerbait for the smallmouth.
Right. Boy, David's kind of the Cinderella guy here, isn't he? And, and as you can see, he is fishing a spinnerbait. Larry Nixon was fishing with a tube, and these guys are going to do a variety of things.
Back to Larry Nixon. Fishing right up near that marker buoy there. Another fish on.
A lot of current, huh?
Picking up right where he left off. Really, for all year, Larry's had a great year on the
Yeah, you know, he kind of had a change of attitude. At least that's what he said anyway. And by that, I mean he started working harder. I think maybe he was coasting a little bit.
Not too bad.
Boy, he shows up in every final anymore. Of course, Larry's one of the legends.
Not a big one, no. Not what he's going to take to win this tournament.
Big fish. And always a spinnerbait catches big ones.
First 2 days of the tournament, starting out, everyone's jerking spinnerbait and then throwing moving baits, and
you know, for these smallmouth up here, they're feeding on those alewives, and you know, a good, really good looking shad looking spinnerbait. This is a Straight King Premier Elite right here, and I'll tell you, it looks just like a shad, and they can't stand it.
I just get in between them and throw slow, and it's hard to do when you see other fish getting caught on moving baits, but those fish are primarily on that bottom, just cruising up and down this little break.
Art Ferguson and Kevin Van Dam. This is a lake that's 450-something square miles. There they are, right on top of one another. Unbelievable.
Bumper cars.
Bumper to bumper for these two guys. And I tell you what, if you went back into town, just over to your right there, and talked to the fishermen, the angling fans here, they would tell you these are the two guys that are probably the best two fishermen on this lake.
Hey, and I tell you what I think is really interesting, and interesting because they are fishing right next to each other. When you get shots again of the two of them, look at their different styles. Kevin is throwing a jerk bait. He's throwing a spinner bait, and Tommy, he switches between baits so fast that sometimes you can't even see it happen. Art, on the other hand, is fishing a tube. And obviously fishing a lot slower and more deliberate. But look at how
you
fast.
just saw Kevin,
yeah,
just what you were talking about. He had that stick bait coming out of that fish, and now he's throwing the spinner bait out there. It's just unbelievable.
And here we are back with Art. Now he handles it. Both these guys. We're talking about a couple of athletes here, Tommy. You really are. You can tell by the way they handle their equipment. And not only do they have quickness, but they have a tremendous feel with their equipment.
Yeah, that's exactly what you're saying. Art looks like he's fishing fast, but once that bait hits the water, he's relying on feel. He's slowing everything down and waiting for the fish to pick up that tube lure.
There's one.
And these are good fish. These two guys are, you know, I wouldn't say they're in a spot where all the fish are just located. I think they're in a spot where the fish are moving through and using, you know, like a weed line or some kind of a little contour spot that the fish are going back and forth, and they're cutting them off. Is what they're doing.
Look at the big, this is what they're eating. You want to get a shot of that? That's the main forage out here in the lake. Alewife right there. See my hand shaking.
A lot of times that means there's a lot of fish down there. One's getting it, and he's almost paranoid if you watch like seagulls when they go for something. A bunch of them go at it once, and none of them pick it up because they're all afraid of the other one. That's kind of what goes on out here in these schools of smallmouth.
Good one, too.
Tommy, I don't want to put you on the spot here, but I know in the qualifying days you fished on the non-boater side, and quite honestly, I thought I'd be able to take this opportunity to rib you a little bit about it, but you did darn good.
Oh, well,
you did. And
almost got a limit each day.
I'd like to know what that was like.
Oh, it was just wonderful. Of course, as the co-angler, you fish with one of the pros each of the 2 days, and I had two great partners, Jack Bell and Kim Carver, who's a former All-American champion. It was just great. And like you say, this is a lake that's so full of fish, but the wonderful thing, it's not full of places to find those fish. So when you find a good place, there's a wonderful amount of fish there, and that's what made it fun for everyone.
Well, I tell you, regarding the fishing around here, it's awful good. I'm sitting out here today just competing against 5 other anglers, and I think I got about a 16-pound bag right now, and I still feel like I could be fit.
We're watching David Rowe from Livonia, Michigan, put another one in the bank there. Of course, all our guys now, Jerry, got limits. They're culling fish, and it's so typical for this lake.
So, but so untypical for a good fishing tournament, isn't it amazing? We're not worried about how many fish these guys are going to catch.
Oh, they'll all have limits, yeah.
We're worried about, well, can someone get 18 to 20 pounds? Because that's what it's going to take.
And you have to bear in mind, this is 18 to 20 pounds of smallmouth. I don't know how many guys I talked to on the first day that said, I caught 15 pounds of smallmouth, and I wasn't even in the top 40.
Isn't that amazing? We have not seen a largemouth yet. We're not going to see a largemouth. I'll tell you right
Probably
now.
not. We've seen a few at the weigh-in, but probably not these guys. Not today.
And incidentally, they are fishing probably in 10 and 12 feet of water, most of them, even the topwater fishermen, even the jerkbait fishermen.
Don't you love the way they jump for the camera? Oh, getting the net. That's a better one. Some of them are just swallowing it. Some of them are just barely taking it. long as they get it, I don't care.
Now, what's this deal about not wanting to catch a fish on the first cast? That's the first time I've heard that one.
Well, some of the guys have a kind of a superstition going. If you corner Tom Mann Jr., you may have even heard him on tape say it. He firmly believes if you catch one on the first cast that you're done for the rest of the day. So
boy, that's not true for me. If I don't catch him on the first cast, I might not catch another one all.
I've had it happen to me, and so from now on, you know, I just make a cast and straighten my line and reel it in real quick so nothing gets it. And first thing this morning, as soon as I made the cast, I let it sink about 4 feet. There's one. And I reeled it in. That's a pretty good fish. And one was underneath it, followed it up.
And he pulled it out of his mouth.
He didn't have it in his mouth. He just followed it up and swirled it by the boat.
Peter, this is an incredible fishery. You know, what more can we say about it?
That's all you can say about it, is how wonderful it really is. And Lord, please just let them take care of it. Don't do what they've done to us in the south and our reservoirs down there with all those chemicals that they spray in the water, and it really hurts the fish population.
How'd you find this place that you're on?
A lot of time behind the driver's seat of the boat with the gas engine running, and using my electronics, using my depth finders to find these places. It's what I really love to do. It's the kind of fishing it's the kind of fishing I feel like that if you find a spot like this that you may have to yourself. And it pays off sometimes, not always, because they're not always out here. But
how big do you think this little area is? And in your own mind, what do you envision it looking like?
Basically, it's just a bald spot in the middle of a grass field. It's like, you know, like in the middle, like if you've seen those mysterious circles in the cornfields that everybody says look like flying saucers have landed.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's what this is. I think a flying saucer landed here and dropped all these smallmouth.
Hey, you haven't necessarily been fishing with a tube all the time, have you?
No, I haven't. I've had to switch up every day.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised when we tuned into you right off the bat here and you're fishing with a tube. You caught those big fish yesterday on a spinnerbait?
No, I caught one fish on a spinnerbait yesterday that I used, and the rest of them came on a Norman Lures jerkbait, a new jerkbait that the Norman Lures has just come out with. You know, 15 pounds is just a start right now for me. I'm looking at, my gosh, if it goes right, I'd like to think I could catch 20 pounds out of here.
Oh, man, wonderful. We'll talk to you a little bit later, Peter. Really, congratulations on your good luck so far. We could sit and watch Peter all day to make a great show. Yeah, this could turn into a Peter T. documentary. We better move on. Yeah, I know. We can get hooked on this.
The Walmart FLW Tour is brought to you by Wrangler. Wrangler, real, comfortable jeans. By Citgo, you know me. By Visa, it's everywhere you want to be. And by Mitchell, we know the water.
I see one. Get ready.
Kevin Van Dam again, and all he has to do is throw that topwater lure out there, walk the dog a little bit, and look what happens.
Hey, Tommy, these fish are hard to land. We keep talking about how many these guys are catching, but they're difficult to land. No offense to a largemouth bass fisherman, but there's nothing that compares to these guys. If you'll notice, when somebody lands one, look at how wide and how strong their tail is, and they're netting their own fish too.
Yeah.
Normally that's not a big deal, but to fight one of these guys and to net it all on your own, that's a pretty good chore.
And these smallmouth never quit. They never quit until they're in the box. It's just they're amazingly strong fish.
They don't quit when they get in the box.
No, they really don't.
They get in the boat and they're mad at you.
Look at that, boys. They're gaining size. I had to move down about 100 yards from where those small fish were, and the bigger fish are up current from those fish. More aggressive, bigger fish are just a little bit up, which makes sense to me.
There's a monster, and he got off. Golly, that was a giant.
fish. I'm gonna need that net you're stepping in. Oh, big fish. Come on, Gophers. Big fish, 4.5, 5 pound fish. Thank you, Lord. Oh, thank God. That makes a little funner right there. Oh, man, I needed that one. I needed that one. That just put me in the 15-pound mark right there. Got it. Oh, big one. Big fish. They're hard to keep on this bait, but it gets the big bites. Oh, gosh. Man.
Back to Kevin Van Dam. I hope he keeps fishing this thing for a while. This is
beautiful?
good stuff.
A spook is hard to catch fish on,
too, and he didn't get hooked.
The bait is large. And of course, anytime you fish a topwater bait, you're going to miss a fish every now and then. But a spook is a tremendous, a Zara spook, I should go ahead and call it by its full name. It's a tremendous topwater bait. It's so good about attracting fish. Look at the fish come up and hit that.
There's a big old head there.
They can't stand that lure.
3 strikes and you're out.
I tell you, I've not seen so many fish caught in the first few hours of a tournament ever. We got to take a break and catch our breath a minute. Why don't we visit with an angler who didn't make the top 5, but he's part of a really neat team out here on the FLW Tour.
When I met Annie, I was already a full-time, living on the road professional fisherman. I got involved in submitting ads and responding to ads in the personal section. And that's how I found Annie.
When I told my dad and my brother I was dating professional fishermen, they were as happy as I was. They were ecstatic. Keep him, that's good. He was fishing pretty much full-time, but still had a job at home. And it wasn't until about a year after we met that we decided we're going to go for it full force. He quit his job in the computer industry. I quit my job in the law firm. We bought a motorhome, and we traveled from there, and that was day one. If you really want to know what life is like on the FLW Tour, you need to follow us. You can travel with us every day, be in our lives, see everything we're going through by following us on the internet through the ESPN website. Let's have our little tournament while we're here.
What does the winner get?
Oh, just kidding.
We have all kinds of little knickknacks that we pick up in there. We have a little hula girl glued to the front deck there, so sometimes I kind of do this with the steering wheel when I'm on the highway just because I like to see her shake.
I've been talking about how good of a driver you are.
I'm happy with what we're doing because I think of what the alternative is. There are lots of times when I think about going back to a salaried position and working for somebody else, and I don't think about it very long.
It's just evolved. We've got rid of the house. We now own a storage bin, and we live full-time in the motorhome 365 days a year.
I got the best end of that deal, and I've had that deal now for 2.5 years, and I wouldn't have it any other way now.
We have it all right there.
That is pretty nice.
Behind that channel marker right there, there he is, Larry Nixon. You know, all these fellas not too far from the weigh-in side. It's a big lake, but they like fishing right there where the St. Clair River flows into the lake there. Kevin Van Dam, Art Ferguson, Peter T., they're all within minutes of one another, and they're all culling at this point in the proceedings.
Helped.
They're all pretty good fish, too.
Big one right there. That's a good one right there. Got him.
Kevin Van Dam from Kalamazoo, Michigan, young man, but a legend already in the sport of bass fishing, and first outing on the FLW Tour. We're starting to see why he's a legend.
Yes, sir. Here he is, and He and Art Ferguson are just...
I got 2 on right now. Oh, he just come off. I had 2 on.
Oh, a 2 for now.
Yeah, but they're fishing right next to each other. It's, you know, they both know that there's lots of fish being caught. Of course, they don't know the exact weights.
They hadn't been more than 100 yards from each other all day long. We need to talk to Kevin just a minute here. Let him get this one in the net here, see if he culls it. Boy, these guys are so close in their weights right now.
Man, you had so much success in your early 20s. What would you say to a 17, 18, 19-year-old youngster that has aspirations of being Kevin Van Dam?
Well, the thing that's really helped me fishing-wise is just being a real versatile angler. And, you know, I grew up here in Michigan, and we've got a lot of diversity in water. We got clear lakes and muddy rivers and a lot of weeds, and then some lakes that are like this one here that just have a lot of sand, just a big diversity, and it helped me to learn a lot of different techniques. And as a fisherman, you have to be versatile if you're going to compete, like on the FLW tour where you travel all over the country in all different kinds of lakes and all different seasons. You got to be able to know all the techniques so you always got something that'll work in every season.
We got Art's take on this. We'd like to know what you think as well, Kevin. What makes St. Clair such a great fishery for bass?
Without a doubt, it's the awesome size of all the flats on the lake. You know, bass, whether it's largemouth or smallmouth, they need flats to both to spawn and feed on. And this whole lake is a big, huge, monstrous spawning flat. It's a huge, monstrous feeding flat, and it just has the habitat like no other lake in the world. As far as square acreage of habitat, this lake is probably the biggest in the country. You know, I mean, there's a lot of bigger lakes, like Okeechobee is very similar in size, but, you know, there's not hardly a spot, even out in the middle, that doesn't have some grass in it that doesn't support some fish.
There he is.
Art Ferguson scoring again could be another big one for him. Art Ferguson is just about as legendary on this lake as Kevin Van Dam. He guides here half the year and spends the other half of his year down at a lake, another giant shallow lake, Okeechobee, down in Florida. So he's a full-time angler.
This fish is pulling. It's about my 25th fish I've caught today, and I'm getting tired, to tell you the honest God truth. I think he is too. What a fish. What a fish. That is my biggest one. As long as they keep getting bigger, that's all I can ask for. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, God.
Well, Art and Kevin putting on such a great show there, it's hard to break away, but we do need to, well, there we go. Check in with David Rowe, who's got a fish on. And, man, what tight competition today.
David was one of the real favorites because he is a local fisherman, you know, but he's a little bit far down the list.
Yeah, not too far, though. About 16 pounds for David. Same thing for Peter T. But Van Dam and Ferguson right up there, 18 and 17 pounds right on top. Kind of surprising to see Larry Nixon sort of trailing the pack here.
But I think still that's kind of meaningless. You know what? One cast and bam, you're right back in there. And I tell you what, I think it's interesting. You've got David here fishing a casting equipment, fairly heavy line. You got Kevin and Art Ferguson switching back and forth in the case of Kevin, spinning tackle, casting tackle. Art's fishing spinning tackle. Peter, we haven't seen him for a while. No telling what he's doing.
Well, we know he's throwing the jerk bait. He's been doing that all week.
So I think it's real interesting, the different styles we have. You know, I mentioned that a little earlier. I think it's real interesting that the styles that these guys are using, and I want to point out that they're using long rods too, and Tommy, that is so good. It allows you to make long casts and fight these smallmouth.
It's gonna be hard to beat this. It's gonna be hard to beat that right there. That fish just gave me a bunch of weight.
Well, I'm going to take it and put it on one of those jigs instead of the one it came on.
Peter T., like all these anglers, has been looking forward to this event, talking to everyone he knows about all the fish up here, and even talked to his son, Nick, who's given him a lure to specifically fish in Lake St. Clair here.
You may get a college education out of it. Something like that. But this is for the boy. He said that Dad would catch fish on this thing if he threw it. So I'm going to give it a try. There's a fish. There's a fish. It's on Nick's lure. It's a nice one, and there's two with him. Nick, it worked, buddy. It worked. I can't believe it. Nick, you caught Dad a 3-pounder, bud. Unreal. We got to get this one in the net for Nick. Just like that. All right. You've seen it here first. Dad doesn't always know best.
That's a good one there.
There they are. School of them. There's like 5 or 6, all big ones. All big ones. Look at them. Boy, if I could drop another rod in the water right now, I could have everything I needed. Unbelievable. Never seen that many big fish together like that. Oh.
All right, it's all over again for Peter T. Second day in a row now that he's had a big school of smallmouth move into his place there. Really close to quitting time. Exciting stuff.
Yeah, boy, I should say, and
oh, man, don't do that.
Where everyone else has slowed down just a little bit, he's been very confident in the last hour of his fishing every day that he's been there. And Tommy, he may do it again here.
You never know.
And the bait, I'll bet at one time there was probably 2 fish on that bait. Because it was just, they were swarming around it.
Getting really close to quitting time here. Larry Nixon and David Rowe maybe fading just a little bit. Van Dam and Ferguson right here, both feeling good about their limits. And Peter T., who knows?
Well, let me pull this up, and I'm going to make my last cast. Because I caught a 5-pounder on the last cast the other day. Huh? Yeah. That's what I was counting on. Last cast fish. This may not have been my last cast. There he is. There it is. Yes. It's a giant. Woo! Just jump in the boat. This is the one. Come on, girl, we haven't got time for this. She's hooked very well. Ah, attaboy. All right, she's off. I'm done. She's not a true giant, but she's a daggum good one. When they jump, they look like 5-pounders, all of them. Four, 2.
Go, baby, go.
Call. Enter. Yes, sir. Oh, yeah! I feel good! Yes, sir! Boy, 30 more minutes, just like Moynihan said, it'll be over! Woo! You wanted excitement, you got it now!
Well, ladies and gentlemen, let's meet our officials. The weighmaster for the Final 5 from Gilbertsville, Kentucky, here is Gentleman Charlie Evans. And the star and host of ESPN Outdoors, our host for today, Tommy Gun Sanders. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the Final 5 is ready. The scales are ready. The officials are ready. Are you ready? Bass fishing fans, are you ready? For the standing room only crowd in attendance and the millions watching around the world, ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble!
in order to take the lead. And here comes Peter T. from Jacksonville, Florida.
We are deep into this incredible weigh-in. Lost David Rowe and Larry Nixon, but Peter T, on the strength of that last fish, is hanging in there with Van Dam and Ferguson.
Looking for 6'10" is Peter Thilveros. That's a limit, tournament limit for Peter T.
2 fish, 8 pounds, 12 ounces.
Your new leader, Peter Thilveros. Sit back down there, Peter T. But that eliminates Art. I'm sorry. Art's already weighed in the limit. Art, let's hear it for Art Ferguson. It's an exciting day. And Art, I know it's been a big time for you. You spend all year fishing. How do you get up? How do you keep your enthusiasm up for a big tournament? I guess when there's $200,000 at stake, it's not hard at all.
Well, lately I've been praying a lot, but it's wearing me out. About 10 o'clock this morning, I was physically and emotionally shot. My fish have been biting real early every morning, and I've been catching them till about 9:30, 10 o'clock, and then after that, I'm just struggling. I might be getting 4 or 5 more bites after 9:30, but I had a great morning. I mean, I got about 25 bass this morning, and they were just busting all over the place.
A perfect week. You have inspiration from up above, and I know it's going to keep you going in the tournament world for a long, long time.
Thanks.
All right, another big hand for Art Ferguson. Great job out there. Let's send Art. 2 anglers left. From Jacksonville, Florida, Peter Thilveros in the lead with 19-13. Kevin Van Dam has weighed in 4 fish. We assume he's got a 5th. And Kevin Van Dam, in order to take the lead and win the $200,000 first prize, is going to have to come up with 6 pounds and 6 ounces. Peter, come on up here. I know you want to see what's going on here. Kevin. Oh, my gosh. It's a big one. It's a big one. Looking for 6'6". It's a big one.
It's a beautiful fish. Weighs 4 pounds, 14 ounces.
Peter Thilveros is your champion, the $200,000 winner of the Forest Wood Open. Let's hear it for him. Come on. Unbelievable. Peter says unbelievable. 1996, first year of the Walmart FLW Tour. You went out there and outfished everyone on the first 2 days of every tournament to win the Angler of the Year championship. I know in between them, there have been highs, there's been lows.
And extreme lows, yeah. And that's the nature of the sport. And that's what's wonderful about it, is that you can be riding high and you can be back down low, and then you can be back up riding high. It's exciting the whole time. You never know where you're going to end up.
Did you know today that there was a chance, that there was a shot?
At 11 o'clock, I didn't know. I think I had 5 really good fish. I had about 16 or 17 pounds at 11 o'clock, and I knew I needed some fish, and my fish just quit biting altogether. I pulled the trolling motor, just jerked it, snatched it up. We had about 5 minutes left to fish. I had to make the run back in, and it was rough.
There he is. There it is. Yes. It's a giant. Woo! Just jump in the boat. Took very well. Ah, attaboy. That last cast. Woo! There's nothing like it. It's worked twice this week. The last cast the first day, 5-pounder. No! Last cast today, 4-pounder. No! I tell you, that was such an adrenaline rush. You have no idea. I mean, the blood was coursing through every vein in my body. And I rode that boat hard coming in. That Ranger took the waves, and I came in as hard as I could come in and got there with about 5 minutes to spare. And as soon as I shut down, I said, I could have made one more cast.
The Walmart FLW Tour is brought to you by Fujifilm. You can see the future from here. By Land O'Lakes, supporting family traditions. By Black & Decker, Quantum Pro power tools built by Black & Decker. And by Coleman, the outdoor recreation company.
Tommy, I'd just like to say one thing. This is a great town, a great state. An absolutely incredible fishery. It is the most beautiful lake that I've fished on in a long time. And to catch, from, like I said yesterday, from being from Florida, to be able to come up here and catch that quality of fish, smallmouth. I mean, anytime I catch a smallmouth, it's like the sacred cow. I treat them as nice as I want to take care of them. They're beautiful fish. And please take care of this fishery. Don't abuse it. You know, do what you can all over the country, not just here, but everywhere you've got a chance to take care of your fishery. It's a limited resource, regardless of what people tell you. It is a limited resource, and they need the help, and we can give it to them.
All right, let's hear it for Peter G. one more time. What a champ. What a champ.
Oh, one last thing. And I can't even begin to, I can't believe I almost forgot this. Back home in Jacksonville, I hope right now, my wife, my father-in-law, mother-in-law, my son Nick, maybe my son Justin, maybe even my mom and dad are sitting at the Walmart down there in Mandarin watching me right now. Nick, guess what, buddy? The bait that you gave me today helped me cull into a limit that weighed 19 pounds, buddy. We got it on film. I put it on and made about 5-10 casts, and I caught a fish, and I said, this one's for Nick. There's a fish. There's a fish. It's on Nick's lure. Nick, it worked, buddy. It worked. Caught Dad a 3-pounder, bud. Dad doesn't always know best. And it came in. He helped me out there today. Anybody standing there in the store right now, if you want a good lure, let him go pick you one out.
This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to ESPN.com, part of Go Network, go.com.